to the beginning. Let's go to, what's the beginning?
Genesis.
The beginning. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1. Now, it should not take us long to get to Genesis chapter 1. You can get there in like light speed. Don't take long to go to the front. Are we there? So let us stand as we read God's word. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. We're going to read 26 and 27. It says, then God says, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. And this is key right here. So God created man in his own image. Everybody say own. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Heavenly Father, God, we thank you for today. Lord God, we thank you for your presence that's already here, Lord God. And God, as we move into hearing a word from you, Lord God, I pray that you decrease me to the smallest capacity so that you may increase. Allow me, Lord God, to be a free-flowing vessel that's full of your word, that pierces the flesh, that touches the heart, that meets each and every one of us, Lord God, exactly where we are in life right now. I pray, God, being that you are the author of life, that you have a word that's relevant for each and every one of us, regardless of what season or what phase we find ourselves in at the moment. We pray, Lord God, that this word rest on good soil. It is in Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. 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 Everybody say potential.
Potential.
Potential. I can't hear y'all. Potential.
Potential.
Y'all talking like y'all ain't got no potential. One more time. Repeat after me. Potential.
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 Jeez. So why go back to the beginning? Why look at Genesis, that specific verse, when talking about a message regarding potential? Why do that? Why look at potential through the lens of this particular context, this particular scripture? Say, well, why? Because sometimes in life, there's so much that happens, so many things that end up discouraging us, so many things that distract us, so many failures, so many broken promises, right? So many closed doors, pink slips, it's not you, it's me statements, so many things that happen all of the time. We lose sight of our capabilities. We lose sight of our abilities. We lose sight of our potential. So many things happen in life that don't feel good. So many things happen within the context of our life that weighs on us emotionally. So many things are placed in front of us that seem like obstacles that we can't come around. And we get so far removed from who we truly are that we put so much attention on what we see that it stops us from believing in what we're truly capable of becoming. Amen, somebody.
Amen.
When God created Jeremiah, look at what he did. When God created Jeremiah, with everything that was going on in the context of Jeremiah's life, guess what he didn't speak to? His situation. Not first. The word of the Lord came to me. This is what Jeremiah says. The word of the Lord came to me. Said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. God took Jeremiah all the way back to the beginning when it was just me and him, or him and God. Right? He said, I need to take you back before I send you ahead. You need to know who you truly are. Not who you're born to, not how old you are, not what's going on around you, but who you were created to be. You need to first see yourself the way I know you. important. When understanding potential, when tapping into potential, when trusting God with who He's created you to be, despite everything else that's going on, you need to constantly understand that I'm created in the image of God. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And guess what? Write this down. Who you are is connected to where you come from. Who you are, let me say it better in the context of this. Who you are is connected to who you come from.
Right.
What does Genesis 1 say? Or Genesis 21:27. What is our verse for today? We're created in what? In the image of God. Right? Let us make man in our own image.
Yep.
Who we are is related to who we come from. And for a message about potential, it's important for us to understand that. Because a lot of times we only look at the context of our life. A lot of times we think that we're only capable of becoming, only looking from the vantage point of our life. And sometimes we may go back from a generation or two. Well, my grandfather was like this, or my grandmother was like this, and my mama like this, so that means, it's just in the cards for me. My mama failed at this. It seems like I'm failing at this. So that's just the way it's going to be. Putting so much attention, yes, who you are and what family you're born into does speak a little bit about you, but it doesn't speak to the essence of who you are. Going back to the beginning speaks to the very essence of who you are. God said, you're created in my image, in my likeness. The essence of humanity, you are made in the image of God. Which means you have the capability and the ability to do some amazing things. Everybody say, I have potential. Potential. Whatever God has called you to do, guess what? It's already built in. Whatever God has called you to do, it's already built in you. And a lot of times we don't see that because we focus on everything else that's happening. We focus on everything else that didn't work out right. We focused on maybe failed attempts in the past, or broken relationships in the past, or broken promises in the past. Well, we forget whose we truly are. We put a lot of stock in what's around us and what's happened, instead of going back to the beginning and saying, wait a minute. I'm created in the image of God. God has got a plan and a purpose for my life. Yes, some things that have happened in my life, they affect me. And I know things that happened in my past, they've created who I am today from an emotional standpoint and where I am, but it doesn't speak to the totality of who I truly am. And a lot of times people smother their potential because they put so much stock, they give so much value to everything that they see and what already happened. They project the past onto the future. Because I've had this much pain, because I've been hurt this many times, because I've been lied to, because when I opened up, somebody let me down and took advantage of me or what have you. Therefore, I'm closing down and I'm shutting down the possibility of being in a healthy relationship because of what happened. From A to Z, we do that. We project the past onto the future, stifling what we have the capability of doing. So when we're talking about potential, what is one thing that we cannot afford to do? You can't afford to forget who you are. It is detrimental to remember and know and have confidence in who you are. God stepped into Jeremiah's life, and what did he say? He said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I don't care. There's a lot going on in this world, and I'm going to get to that. But you need to know, first of all, who you are. Because before you go forth in my name, you've got to understand and have confidence who you are. Because this world will test you. The enemy will try to block you. There's going to be some hurdles that he puts in front of you. There's going to be some things that look like right? They're working against you, that will take you out. But you've got to understand where your strength comes from and who you're made in the image of.
Yeah, that's good.
Fashioned for purpose.
Right.
But a lot of times we become the product of our environment, the product of circumstance, smothering what we were designed to be.
That's good.
It's so important for us to understand whose we are because of this. People don't see you the way God knows you.
Amen.
People don't see you the way God knows you. They can't see the value of you like God sees the value of you. We're fallen. People look at what happened. People look at what meets the eye. People look at past failures. People look at you in relationship to other people. People measure people. People compare people. People say you can't be this because you're right here and that person is right there and they do it well and so therefore you can't do it. People measure you like that. People don't see the value of you like God does. People take what meets the eye, take in information, and then based on that information that they take, they project that onto you on what you can and what you can't be. People say, you know what? People who are usually successful have XYZ criteria. They do this, they come from this place. Because they come from here, they're probably more likely to be this. Therefore, it's probably not ideal that you're going to be what you desire to be. Happens all the time. Look at the context of where we live. You live in a high-risk urban neighborhood. Everything that comes in is always needs-based. Let me keep reaffirming what you don't have. Let me go and meet your need. Never going in and saying, what assets do you have? What are you good at? Rarely do we look at a community that's at risk, an urban community, and I'm just giving an example, from an asset perspective. It's always from a need perspective. You don't recognize what they can be, you recognize what they don't have.
Yep. Wow.
And so you're never affirming, you're never speaking to the essence of a person when you don't affirm and when you don't speak to that they're created in the image of God. When you come and you just look at all the mess and say, you know what, the mess has made you right here, therefore let me give you what you need, then you keep people focused on the external things instead of looking inwardly to say, you know what, I don't care what surrounds me, I'm created to be something that's bigger than my context.
Yeah. That's good.
Amen, amen. Whew. God does it throughout Scripture. God looked at Adam and he saw a world. He didn't create a whole society. He started with one man. And within him, he had the potential for an entire human population. That's the potential principle. Everything starts out as seed formation. It's a process. Everything that has happened in your life, once you're connected to God, it all works out for your good. That mess ends up becoming a message. That test ends up becoming a testimony. Amen, somebody. God looked at Abraham when he made the covenant and he saw nations. Right? Looked at Moses, a murderer, and saw a deliverer. Looked at Paul, right? A church prosecutor, and saw a church planter.
Yeah, come on.
That's the potential. We don't even see that a lot of times. Right? Now get this. Understand this. God creating us in his image is not referring to us looking like God. What it speaks to is that we operate like him. Right? We function like God. Our free will, our ability to reason and make decisions, right? Our creative capabilities. We function like God does. Get this, speaking about potential still. At creation, everything came into visibility because of God's word. What was unseen, what was in him, became visible by his word. Right? Mm-hmm. Everything that is came from God. It was within him. God is potential. Everything existed within him. And then when he spoke, what wasn't seen became seen. The invisible became visible. Right? And that's the same with us. If God is not speaking to us, if we're not in position so when we can hear from God, then what he's created us to be will always and remain unseen until he speaks to us and tells us who we were created to be.
Okay.
People go searching. People have this void. People have this desire. People have this feeling. They have this belief that they are created to be something bigger than their context, but they try to do life without God. And until God is able to speak into your life, then it will continue to be unseen.
Yeah.
It's only God that can draw out what we were created to be. What did it say? The word of the Lord came to me. God spoke.
Yeah.
That's how it says in Jeremiah. It starts out like it. The word of the Lord came to me. What did he say? Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I fashioned you in your mother's womb to be a prophet to the nations. You don't know who you truly are until I speak and reveal what's in you.
Yeah.
And if you never put yourself in position to hear from me, then you're going to continue to discredit yourself, disqualify yourself, keep living a life that's disconnected from the very purpose and plan that I have for you.
Yeah.
So get this. Write this down. In order to function like God, right? Being created in his image and his likeness is not speaking to us looking like him, but us operating and functioning like him. Right? In order to function like God, faith is required.
Amen. Yes, it is.
Faith is required. Without faith, it's what? Impossible to please God.
Yeah.
We walk by faith, we live by faith, and not by sight.
Yeah.
Right? Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than we could ever ask or imagine according to his power that is at work within us. That is potential unlimited. We have an unlimited supply of ability and potential to accomplish any and everything God has called us to, but we've got to be connected to him.
Yes. Amen.
We are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God had prepared in advance for us to do. Created us. He knows who we are, what we're designed for, the purpose and the plan that he has for us, the gifts that we have. He can put into context every single experience, good and bad, that we've had thus far. Every single experience, feeling, letdown, success, or whatever. Put it in the proper context, and until we get connected with him, we have no idea what it truly means and how it speaks to our future and who we truly are. Look at this. I want to look at John. Let's go to John 15. Gospel of John. I just want to look at this. John 15. Let's look at verse 4. I'm gonna read just a few verses, but I wanna close it up with this, talking about what we have the potential to be. because of who we are connected to. Okay? So John 15, verse 4 says, remain in me. Jesus says, remain in me, and I will remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing.
Yeah.
I'll read that one more time. I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. But get this. Verse 7 says, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be given to you. This is my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. There's a whole lot of things in life that we can be connected to. And Jesus very clearly says, you know what? I'm the true vine. There are some pseudo vines. There are some things that appear to be vines, right?
Yeah.
But they're not life-giving like I am. You can connect yourself to some other things. You can connect yourself to some other people. You can connect yourself to some other ideals. But none of them will be able to do for you what I can do for you, because when you're connected to the source of life, nothing else can give you life the way that I can, because I am life. There's a lot of things that people get connected to. And they still have all of these desires. They still have this ambition. Their heart still hopes for things, but they're connected to the wrong source. And so it stifles their potential. God says, I've got a vested interest in you bearing much fruit, because when you begin to do that, it points back to me. I'm placing in you the potential, the capability, the capacity to do some crazy things in this world that blows people's minds, that even blows your mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to show the world my glory, my transformative love and power, and what being in a relationship with me is truly about. I've placed in you, because you're created in my image, this potential to do some amazing things through me.
Yeah.
And guess what? A lot of times, and this is where we fall short, God will make demands of us that seem to exceed our capabilities. You say, well, how so? Abraham and Sarah, they were old when God told them that they would have a child. He said, you're the father of nations. Abraham looked at his context. Do you know how old I am? I'm handicapped by my age. I can't do what you're calling me to do. You say I have this potential to be a father of nations, but do you see how old I am? Speaking to Sarah, the true Sarah was so foreign to her that she laughed. Me bear a child, I'm barren. I can't have children.
Yeah.
God, you see me as something that is so crazy that it's laughable. I'm so vested into my current situation and my physical capabilities that I don't believe that you can do what you say that you can.
Yeah.
I'm bound by my age. I'm bound by my medical condition. I'm bound by my body, that I don't think that I can do something that supersedes that. And you know why? It's because the measure of your true potential is not this body that houses your spirit. No. It is the Spirit of God that is within you. The body just houses the potential. potential. It's not the cap of your potential. We always judge our potential by what meets the eye. And God is saying, you know what? I'm going to place demands on you. I'm going to call you out to be who you truly are. And when you look around, it's going to be like, this don't make any sense. It's going to supersede. It's going to appear to supersede what you're physically capable of. But you know what? When you tap into me, when you're connected to the source of life, then you begin to see that it's my power that is worked within you that allows you to do more than ever that you thought that you could do or be.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord.
And when you begin to trust in me, you begin to see yourself the way I see you and the way I know you.
Yeah. Thank you, God.
Amen, somebody.
Amen.
Gotta be connected to God. That's the potential that we do have. This ministry is way more significant than what meets the eye.
Yeah.
I promise you that. We walking by faith and not by sight.
Amen. Amen.
For one day we can look back and be like, you know what? When it was just us,
Yeah.
who would have ever thought that God could do amazingly more than we could ever imagine or ask through the power that was at work within us?
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
God worked through us and did some things that were beyond our capabilities. And when we get to a point to where we're looking back and we touched thousands of lives, we got to attribute it to the power of God that was working within us. Look at the potential that we had.
Thank you, God.
God invites us to think big.
Yes.
God invites us and encourages us to think as big as we can think.
Yes.
He says, now to him who is able to do exceedingly
Yes.
more than you can ever ask or imagine. He said, first of all, I want you to ask for some crazy stuff. For some stuff that's big, for some stuff that just don't make sense. For some huge, significant kingdom building, life-changing stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that's beyond you. He said, then stay connected to me, abide in me, be obedient to me, and watch me 10 times that. Watch me do more than you can ever ask or imagine.
Thank you, Lord.
That is the same with your life.
Yes.
And it hurts to see so many times how people discredit themselves, think that they deserve something lesser because of what they've done and the pain that happens in their life. They get to a point sometimes when you're like, you know what, I deserve this.
Yeah.
People think like that. And it's sad to see. They let things, people, situations smother their potential. And I know it's gotta pain the heart of God because he's like, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I took time, I fashioned you to be something so great. And things that don't have the power that I have, things that don't know you, people that don't know you, like I know you and how I created you to be, has somehow gained a bigger voice than me. You know what potential is? And I'll close with this. Potential is what can be. That's what potential is. Potential is what could be. Potential speaks to something promising. Oh my God, look at what you can be. You know what unrealized potential is? Something that could have been. Something that could have been. Think about that. Because you only live this life once. And you cannot reverse time. When we come into this world, we're fashioned for a purpose. God has has got a plan and a purpose for our life. He's gifted us. He's put certain things. He's deposited us. He's deposited into us whatever he's called us to be. Potential to be something that's promising. And a lot of times when we look back over our life, we see that unrealized potential. And it's, man, what I could have been. What I could have been. Unrealized potential is what could have been. Potential is what could be. And the good thing about God, regardless of what season or what phase of life that we're in, God throws nothing away and every moment counts. We may not have believed that we were created to be what God has called us to be and what he knows us to be. We may have lost sight that we are truly made in the image of God. We may have given more value to the stuff that's happened in our life, to the people that's hurt us, or to who we're related or connected to. But God is saying, I need you to get back to the essence of who you are. You're created in my image and my likeness. You're created to function like me. And you have the potential, the capacity, the ability to bring that into manifestation. But that only comes through me. That only comes through a relationship with me.